Steph Curry is the all-time NBA career three-point king. He reinvented the shot, let's face it. He's at 3,117 of them. And he's taking them from distances that have reinvented modern basketball. He has, along with Draymond Green, invented or reinvented the modern or postmodern era. He's also a four-time NBA champion with 2 regular season MVPs, and now, most importantly, finally, a finals MVP. A lot of people have started to ask, where does he rank all time? Well, Warriors owner Joe Lacob says there's plenty more where that came from.
I think he's got a number of years to go.
Yes.
And we were right. We did. We won. I mean, amazingly. And I think we're going to be, hopefully better next year. These young guys will be better.
Yep.
Steph still got it. I don't see him going off. I'm sorry to say for the rest of the league. I don't see him getting any worse.
Yeah, he's
You
aging.
never know.
Yeah, he's aging like wine. It's crazy.
He is.
Yeah.
The guy is so well conditioned. It's unbelievable.
And more importantly, he is now, there he is, Mark Spears along with Kendrick Perkins. More importantly, Steph is now clearly much more comfortable on the biggest stage in the highest leverage games than he used to be. And as a result of that, he can now seriously be entertained as a top 10 player of all time. But am I to get this right? Are there people who were foolish enough to say he's in the GOAT conversation? I hope that's a joke. Because until people bring up unanimous MVPs, Mark Spears, Kendrick Perkins, unanimous regular season MVPs, by the end of the actual season, when it was all said and done, not a single person on earth in 2016 would dare argue he was the best player in basketball because LeBron was twice as good as him. And before you can be in a GOAT conversation, you should spend at least a year or two as the best player in the NBA. Maybe if he did it, it was just now for the first time. So is Kendrick Perkins shaking his head because he thinks I'm arguing Steph's not a top 10 player? He may or may not be. He's a fringy top 10 all-time player. But GOAT conversation, Perk? Am I getting this right?
Listen, well, one, I'm sipping my water and clearing my throat so that I could address you. Okay? And one thing you have to learn, Max Kellerman, is the same thing I have to learn. And that's it's putting your pride aside, okay? Because Steph Curry proved 2 people wrong this season and this season alone. It was you and it was me. Both of us had doubts about Steph Curry. We done been on the same network, same time, talking about Steph Curry. I had to think about Steph Curry. Forget that he's the greatest shooter of all time. Forget that he's one of the most skilled players to ever touch the basketball. Forget that he has a high 2-point percentage in all-time rankings as far as Karl Malone and Hakeem Olajuwon. Forget that he's the most efficient 20-point-per-game scorer in NBA history. Forget all that. I think about top players in today's game like a Kevin Durant who went to Golden State because he wanted to play alongside Steph Curry. I think about listening to a guy like LeBron James, who is in the GOAT conversation, who talk about on his show, The Shop, talk about how he actually wants or he would love to play with Steph Curry. And I think about the plug and replace. When you take away Harrison Barnes, you win the championship with Harrison Barnes leaves, you get Kevin Durant, you win 2 with Kevin Durant leaves, you win 1 with Andrew Wiggins, plug and replace. Steph Curry makes everyone around him better, and I'm not talking about with the past.
I think that
just
is
being
Mark
on the
Spears.
floor with him.
Mark Spears, I think that's a convincing argument why Steph is maybe in the top 10 ahead of KD, who they played on the same team, and KD was clearly better than him on the same team in their primes. And yet what Perk is saying convinces me maybe that it is Steph who deserves next in the top 10, knocking out Tim Duncan or whoever you want to take out of the top 10. What separates Steph, do you think, from the other players on the fringes of that top 10 conversation?
Well, I'm going to read you this list. I brought some homework, all right?
Okay.
Kareem, 7'2". LeBron, 6'9". Jordan, 6'6". Wilt, 7'1". Oscar, 6'5". Hakeem, 7 feet. Duncan, 6'11". KD, 6'11". Stephen Curry, 6'2".
Yeah.
All these guys, and even Oscar was 6'5", but Steph is a foot shorter than Wilt, like a foot shorter than Hakeem. And the fact that he's been able to do what he's done at 6'2", we haven't seen a player this dominant at this height since Isaiah Thomas.
No, he's more
And so
dominant
to
than
me,
Isaiah
pound
was.
for pound, for him to be able to do what he's done for his dominance at his size, he was not gifted with giant height. For him to be able to do that at his size, to me, is remarkable and something that's certainly not talked about enough, and the reason why he's definitely in the top 10 because he had the least to work with.
Mark, I think that's a great point in terms of, like, this was the first year that you could argue Steph was the best player in the NBA when all was said and done.
But he
Forget
was
about just the
two-time
regular
MVP,
season.
though.
You could argue. What's that?
But when you're MVP of the league twice,
No, because
you're
no,
the best
Mark,
player in the
because
league.
by the end of the real season, when it was all over, not a single soul, including you, was calling him the best player in basketball. Because LeBron was clearly twice as good as him. But what I'm saying
he
is
won
this
the
year,
MVP over LeBron.
Unanimous.
well, in the regular season, fully more than 50% of the teams make the postseason. Who cares? We're talking about when all is said and done. Perk, what Mark Spears brings up about the height is a real thing. This was the first time a 6'3" or under player at the end of the year you could say he might be the best player in all of basketball, right? When all was said and done. But do you give a guy extra credit for being short? The sport selects out for height. There's no pound for pound list here, right? If you're short, it's a disadvantage.
Yeah, no, you have to give a guy credit for what he's doing at his size because he has changed the game of basketball forever. And he has opened doors for guys like Trae Young to come into the NBA and be the best version of themselves. Do you realize, Max, that when you go to a AAU tournament like the Peach Jam that they're having down there in Georgia right now, you're watching guys pull up from three because they feel like they're Steph Curry. When you go to the park and you're watching a U play, they're pulling up from the three because they think that they're Steph Curry. When you're watching guys that are in the NBA, from Damian Lillard to LeBron James, that are pulling up from the logo that would have got you subbed out the game 10 years ago, they're doing that because of Steph Curry. He changed the game of basketball forever. So you have to take into account that he's done that at 6'2", and 100%. He's 47% career efficiency.
Short guys feel like that's their home run now. That's their dunk, is the three-pointer. And he's revolutionized the game, I would say, more than anybody that's playing right now.
100%. He, as I said, ushered in the postmodern era, or whatever you want to call it. But, Mark, I want to be very
what
clear
you got,
about
Perk?
this.
Perk, I see you over there, Perk.
I want to be very clear about this, Mark. I want you on the record with this.
Yes.
This year, I think, for the first time, I wondered at the end of everything, forget about how we divvy up regular season, when they were done playing basketball, I wonder, is Steph the best player in the NBA? This is the first time I've ever wondered that. Have you in the past ever considered, when everything was over, that Steph was the best player in basketball? Has he ever, until this year, been number one on your list?
Certainly this year, he had his biggest statement, right? I mean, but I'm not sneezing on the two MVPs. Perk knows 82 games is a lot of game. We have to give him more respect for doing that in the regular season. In playoffs, a lot of different things happen.
Mark, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you personally, if you ever until this year said, when someone said, who's the best player in basketball, said Steph Curry, better than LeBron, better than KD.
Don't answer that.
I would say that this year for certain was the first year I was.
Yes, so something new has happened
but Max,
here.
Max,
that's a testament to the LeBrons and the KDs and who are 10 inches taller than him. Right?
No, it's just a testament to LeBron. LeBron has been the best player and been sitting on the throne for almost 2 decades. And the fact of the matter is that Steph Curry has been knocking at the door just to enter the conversation. Okay, even when LeBron was playing, when Kobe was around, when Tim Duncan was around, he still was the best player in the world. You can't do that, Max. Steph Curry just happened to be in the era with LeBron James.
And to Perk's point, I think Steph is second.
Yeah, it's a good point.
LeBron's
of course,
number one, and Steph's right next to him. That's a hard guy to jump over.
I do remember KD and Steph on the same team at their best, and KD was undisputed better than Steph. They were on the same team, and KD was better. So it's hard to say a guy's the best in the league if he has a teammate who's better than him. All right, we will continue this another time. Steph Curry hosts the 30th annual ESPYs Wednesday from the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC and the ESPN app. Let's stay in the West and talk about one of the Warriors' biggest threats next season, the Suns. Mark spoke with DeAndre Ayton and Suns brass after Ayton signed his new 4-year deal with Phoenix, and the team touted Ayton as a vital piece to their championship aspirations. So the big question for the Suns after bringing back Ayton is, what does this mean for Phoenix's pursuit of Kevin Durant? Suns are prohibited from trading Ayton until January 15th. For the remainder of the next year, Ayton must consent to any trade and can't be dealt to the Pacers. Mark, so do you get the sense, having spoken to Ayton, that the Suns have enough right now without KD to win a championship?
No, I certainly do. They had enough last season. I'm still confused as how they ended their season. We didn't pay enough attention to how poorly they were playing at the end of the regular season, and perhaps what they did against or didn't do against the Pelicans should have warned us. But this was at the end of the regular season, a team I think most people, including myself, thought was going to win the title. I'm still stunned. One of the most stunning ends I've seen in 22 years of cover, 23 years covering NBA. So, yeah, I mean, the talent is there. Ayton's contract situation is gone. None of their stars have a contract issue. They could just play basketball. I know they're beating themselves up. They still haven't gotten over it. And I think that'll give them the chip on their shoulder to get back. But, hey, they had the talent last year. They just weren't there mentally. So I don't think anything has changed in terms of the Suns being a championship caliber team.
Thank you, Mark.